Hello and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. Today's podcast number 1615. The topic is nutrition and the title is, Why Are You Overweight? Inconsistent eating versus overeating. So I was laughing with somebody recently. We were talking about the idea of dieting. So they're dieting to get a bit leaner for a goal they have coming up. But we were talking about the general idea of dieting. And I said, well, when you're hungry, eat. Just don't eat what you want. And we were purposely kind of joking about it. I was basically trying to get across to them is that we should eat what we need. Meaning, you don't, like when you're hungry, don't just start eating a bunch of pizza and ice cream. But when you're hungry, that means your body needs food. So eat what you need. Eat the right amount of calories. Eat something that has the right amount of protein. Healthy carbs, healthy fats. So eat. Like if you're hungry, eat. Just eat what you need, not what you want. There's definitely room in a healthy diet for wants, but just not at every meal. And if your want is to skip a meal, you're like, I'm not even hungry, I want to skip a meal. You don't get that either. So you don't get the pizza and the ice cream, and you don't get to skip meals. The idea is when you're hungry, eat. Just eat what you need. That's it. That's healthy dieting. That's healthy eating. Whether that's for, fat loss, building muscle, building strength, performance. When you're hungry, eat. Just eat what you need. So, I want to ask you a basic question. Why does our body store body fat? Why do we have body fat? Why did our body decide to do that to us? What did we do to piss it off one day and then all of a sudden it started covering us with a layer of fat? What in the world's going on? Well, why our body stores body fat is to provide energy when it doesn't have enough energy coming in through what we eat. So when you don't eat, the body notices that. And it says, oof, that wasn't good. Meaning the body says, okay, I needed X units of energy. I didn't have it through what I ate. So I needed to make X units of energy. Now, like the initial moment when you didn't have any body fat available, it would have had to break down muscle tissue. It would have had to do a lot of work that it didn't want to do. So now it just breaks down stored body fat. But it says I needed X units of energy. I didn't have it, so I had to make X units of energy. I'm now X units of energy in a deficit. Then you eat a meal, even if it's calorically controlled to be the exact right amount of calories between that meal and your next meal, it's a surplus in that moment. So there's a surplus right when you eat a meal. So if the body is coming into that mealtime saying, man, I'm in an X unit deficit, this isn't good. If I keep having deficits, our organs shut down and we die. So the body's designed for, protection and keeping us alive, which is pretty cool, pretty good for us. But when there's a surplus in that moment of eating, the body takes enough to cover X plus something, some percent, some amount. The body always takes X plus. So it had to create X to cover what you weren't eating, but it stores X plus. So it stores X plus as body fat. Why the plus? Well, same thing we would think of with money. It's a form of protection. Again, the body's not protecting against bankruptcy, it's protecting against death. But for us, financial death would be bankruptcy. So you would say, okay, if every day I spend $1,000, I could put $1,000, if I have the option to, I could put $1,000 back into my bank account every single day. But if I have the option, would I want to put maybe $1,500 in that account just to make sure there's an extra $500 in case I ever need it, right? Totally makes sense financially. That's what we would do to prevent ourselves from bankruptcy. The body prevents itself from dying by putting in that plus. So it replaces X, but it puts in a plus. Now, between that meal and the next, maybe it only gets into half of a deficit, half of X again. So at the next meal after that, it saves half X plus. So when you deprive the body of food, you might lose body fat in the now. But the next time you eat, if it's deprived and too much so going into that meal, it stores more fat than what you burned off. So over time, the body stores more in its bank account, more in its account. It creates more body fat because if your food is inconsistent, it doesn't know how much protection it needs, so therefore it builds up more and more and more protection. This is why people typically self-report not overeating, but yet they struggle losing body fat. Why? It's because you inconsistently eat. It's not from overeating. It's from inconsistent eating. People don't recognize how detrimental inconsistency to eating schedules can be for peak body leanness, like reducing body fat. So if you want to reduce body fat, you have to be more consistent. That's how you can overcome this process of the body trying to protect itself from death by storing body fat. Is eat when you're hungry, but eat what you need. Specific amount of calories, specific amount of protein, and the rest kind of doesn't matter as much. Is it a good idea to, match carbohydrates if you're a little bit active at that time of the meal? You freaking betcha. If it's good to match fats at that time of the meal, if you're not really that active, but you are supposed to eat, then yes, that's good. It helps to best reduce the amount of deficit and surplus between meals. So if I choose carbohydrates, but I wait too long until my next meal, carbohydrates digest quickly. So I would be in a deficit faster. So therefore, I'm going to have a stronger storage response for body fat in the next meal. Whereas if I choose fats, but I'm going to be eating again really soon, then that means that second meal, there's going to be even greater amount of a surplus. So the body may use some of that for repairing muscle damage. If you worked out, it might help, repair your skin, your hair, your nails, a bunch of other things that dietary fat does. So it'll use some, but then it might still store some, depending on how uncertain your food schedule has been. If you don't really have a lot of uncertainty, then it doesn't really store much. There's really no need to worry. So if you're super consistent, even if you get into a surplus, the body's going to try to use it, then whatever it can't use, it gets rid of. Consistency decreases the amount that the body tries to protect itself. So why do people then who overeat also get fat? Well, duh. And why I say it that way is the body is like us. If we have a lot of money coming in, we'll increase our spending, but we do still save more than we typically would. This is why billionaires don't have the same amount of money in their savings account as everybody else, right? They spend a lot. They buy fancy fun cars. They build these huge houses, but they still have like $500,000 in their savings account. There's not going to be many people who listen to this podcast that have $500,000 in their savings account. So just like us, even if we make more and more and more and more money, we'll spend more and more and more, but we still end up saving more and more as well. So if you eat a bunch of calories, way more than your body needs, it's still going to store some because it wants to protect against death. And you're not really using it off, like you're not burning it off, you're not exercising, So it's going to say like, okay, I'll store only 5%. But 5% of a lot is still a lot, right? So the body spends, but it also does hoard. So if you're overeating, stop it. Work really hard to fight against that. And I work with people who have, mental, emotional issues with food. So I do understand I'm being a bit of a smartass now. But overeating can be a really hard thing to stop. A lot of people can find comfort, especially with a lot of emotional, mental stress in various ways in their life. Overeating can be very challenging to stop. Absolutely. 100%. But if you don't self-report overeating, if you're like, I really don't think I overeat, but I still have this body fat, what in the world is causing that? It's inconsistent eating. So you can gain body fat from overeating. We know that. But you can gain body fat from inconsistent eating as well. And people don't always know that. Okay? So, a good way to sum up how to eat healthy is to eat when you're hungry, but eat what you need. That's it. Okay? Now, how do you know what you need? Well, I made that pretty damn easy for you. So if you go to our website, www.brutalirongym.com, go to free education resources. It's one of the tabs on our website. The first thing on that page is create your own nutrition program. You can view and print a document. It has a podcast link to podcast 1232. Listen to it, go through the steps in the document, then email me after you do all that if you want some extra help, okay? So you can set up your nutrition program. What you look at is calories. You try to figure out, okay, how many total calories do I need a day? Protein. How much protein do I need a day? Then distribution. This is huge. Huge. Distribution. When do I need my calories and protein? When would I use it best? Boom. And then macronutrient choice would be kind of the fourth thing, is making sure you have carbs the right time, fats the right time, reduce sugars, all that stuff. So calories, protein, distribution, absolutely most impactful. Then macronutrient choice to match your meal timing is kind of that next component that a lot of people need help with. So go to our website. Again, www.brutalirongym.com. You can go to free education resources, go to the very first thing on that page, and you can view and print that document totally for free, 100% for free, and it'll teach you how to set up your own nutrition program. Okay? So, if you have unwanted body fat and you can't explain it, you can't figure it out, you're like, I don't overeat. What in the hell is the problem? The problem is inconsistent eating. There you go. That's your answer. Okay, so go through that resource. Good luck with everything. If you need anything at all, just email me. My email is brutalirongym@gmail.com. Okay, well, if you like our podcast, please share it. The more people we share it with, the more people can help. When you share it, let people know that we answer questions for free, so that way they understand the service of the podcast, that it's available for everybody. Thank you to those who donate to support the podcast, that way we can actually do that. It does have a high hosting cost every year. I give an hour to it every day. You can donate on our website, www.brutalirongym.com. Even just $5 a month, it does add up. It really significantly helps. So thank you very much. Sincerely thank you to those who do that. I really appreciate it. If you like the information we share in our podcast, you can find more from us on our social media channels. Find us and follow us on Instagram under Brutal Iron Gym, and find us and follow us on YouTube under the name Brutal Iron Gym. As always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening.